Well, good morning, everybody. This is how we start our morning, is by crazy bird pecking on the window, wanting in. I have no idea what he's thinking, but he does this every single morning. The good thing is he used to do it all day long, and now I guess he's found little birdie things to do. But this is how we start our day. This is so funny. And it's a gorgeous fall morning here in Tennessee, and the temperatures are in the upper 30s. And our weather has just changed. It changed very drastically, very quickly this year. This time last year, it was still warm. This year, no, it's not warm. So I thought I would just kind of give you some adjustments that I make in fall. Fall, it gets kind of tricky because you're so used to being busy with your orchids, doing things for them all the time. The dendrobiums are growing so quickly, and you're trying to stay ahead of that with their fertilizer. And the vandas are growing quickly, the phals are, everything's going on in the summer. And then fall comes, and all of a sudden, you don't water as much. As a matter of fact, I'm watering probably half as much as I did with less water. You don't need as much water for those roots because as the days get shorter, the roots take in less and less water. Also, they take in less and less fertilizer. So I'm cutting my fertilizer dose in half as well. My humidifier this time of the year is running almost all the time. I have a little desktop humidifier. I'll show that to you. This is the humidifier that I use back in my sunroom. It's a desktop model, and it's an ultrasonic, and I keep it going almost all the time. I refill it twice in a day. It is a fine mist, and I like to keep my humidity back here in my room while it's cold at about 50% if I can. 50 to 55 would be really good, but I found that I don't want to keep it much above 55 here in my sunroom. The reason why I like to use the humidifier so much back here is my heat is on now. I have my heating registers placed about 6 months ago. They're working great, and it does dry out the air though. So I found that a humidity back here of about 50 to 55 this time of the year gives me just enough humidity. If I get much more than that, I don't want to get black spot or botrytis spotting. So that is just a perfect balance for me back here in my growing space. So for my vandas, what I'm doing is I'm fertilizing them at about 400 parts per million. That's about a third of a teaspoon of the Better Grow with the CalMag and the Epsom salts and the seaweed extract. I am going to continue to use the seaweed extract throughout the fall and the winter months. I just think that it is really a beneficial supplement to use. And I'm doing a 2-day soak about every 5 or 6 days. They seem to really like the water. They seem to love the fertilizer, and they all have new leaves. So I want to keep those leaves growing. You can fertilize your vandas at a higher rate than you can your other orchids. They are just hungry, hungry plants. So they seem to be enjoying the fertilizer and the cooler weather. For my phals, I'm only using about 200 parts per million. I'm just using about an eighth of a teaspoon of the Better Grow with them, with the CalMag and the seaweed extract. I like to pull back a little bit on their fertilizer in the fall. They just don't take as much water this time of the year, so I know they're not taking in as much fertilizer either. So a lot of these have new leaves, and I'm seeing spikes and secondary spikes on them. So this is kind of an exciting time of the year. You get to see the fruits of your labors throughout the summertime. And my dendrobiums all have terminal spikes. All of their canes are mature. So I'm reducing their water probably by about half, well, a third to a half. And I'm fertilizing them about twice a month not nearly as much as I was when they were growing these canes. And then I'm going to increase that amount when I see them start to spike. So they're getting about 200 to 250 parts per million about every 2 weeks. It's not that I don't fertilize them at all, I just fertilize them less. I want to maintain that healthy plant by giving them that little bit of fertilizer. So that's probably about 1/8 of a teaspoon as well, similar to my phals, along with the CalMag and the seaweed extract. So that's their recipe for this time of the year. And another little tip that I've been meaning to share with you all is when I water, I use warm water. I don't use cold water. I just think that that is beneficial. It's better for their roots. You don't want to use cold water. It can actually damage their roots. So I just heat up a little bit in the microwave and add that to my already drawn out water and make it just a little bit warm. They seem to really like it, and I know I'm not damaging any roots with icy cold water because the water that's coming through my faucet right now is pretty cold. So that's your little tip of the day. And of course, the best thing about fall when you're an orchid grower is spikes. So the one here on the right is my Phal Carmen, and she will be blooming here pretty soon. And the one in the back here is Phal Marianne, and she's working on another spike. And when she blooms, it's just so pretty. So I hope you all are just having a fabulous fall. I hope you have lots and lots of flower spikes. And we will talk to you all next time. Be highly favored, deeply loved, and greatly blessed.